Maldives is one of India's key maritime neighbors in the Indian Ocean region, and the overall bilateral relationship, including in the areas of defense and security, have seen an upward trajectory in the past few years. We are joined by Ambassador Shilkant Sharma, who will explain the crucial strategic importance of the Maldives to India. What do you think has been responsible for this particular current state of good relations between India and the Maldives?
I think the first and foremost is the readiness of India to reach out to all our neighbors, particularly to Maldives. India has reached out to Maldives in helping Maldives develop its economy, its infrastructure, and a huge array of projects have been supported by India. And India has no axe to grind in that sense. It doesn't intend to derive any exterior or ulterior advantages from its engagement with Maldives, except that as a neighbor, Maldives should have the highest comfort level with India and vice versa. So that has been generally a trend which has gained strength over the last 4 years under President Soli. And there is an ambitious project of 6.74 kilometers long bridge causeway link, which will be connecting the national capital of Male with 3 adjoining islands, Willingly, Guli Falhu, and Tilafushi. Now, these are the main population areas of Maldives. Half the population of 5 lakh lives in these areas. So this bridge will go a long way in connecting and rejuvenating the economy in that sense. And this bridge was the Chinese-built bridge, which was completed in 2018. It was only 1.4 kilometer long.
Development cooperation, as you're rightly saying, has been a key pillar of the India-Maldives relationship. And New Delhi has been providing lines of credit worth almost $1.2 billion for infrastructure and grants and so on. But equally important has been the maritime security issues in which the two countries have collaborated. And this has, in fact, in certain ways been part of a problem that the former president of the Maldives, that Abdullah Yameen, has been trying to, raise, and, even with something called the India Out campaign that was happening in Maldives. And President Soli has banned all this kind of opposition in that island nation. The point is that, there are still very many elements within the Maldives, or at least some of them, who are trying to portray the relationship between India and the Maldives in a negative light, as being only based on security and so on. Is that a fair assessment, or do you think that it is something that former President Abdullah Yameen has just needlessly been trying to rake up?
Well, Maldives is a small country, and their political class is even smaller. And the external powers have been crudely pumping money there and trying to buy off these leaders. And this crude inspiration to have out India, this campaign was very, very crude. It has a hallmark of, some in Asia who have been doing these things very bluntly.
Yes.
But it didn't work because the Indian contributions to Maldives go back long years, from the 1980s. And we've always been a benign neighbor, always come to help. And this help was without strings attached.
Yeah.
And this came through the opposition to Yameen, and who was actually badly treated by Yameen, and who was the president of Maldives in 2011, had the SAARC summit in Male. So, but he was unceremoniously removed, and now Nasheed is back. He's the speaker of the assembly, and so his party has, and the present president Ibrahim Mohammed Saleh has been protege in that sense. In terms of politics, what happens is that stories from recently have come that for some reason Nasheed has been unhappy with President Saleh, and he's raising big storm against him. And there was an attack on Nasheed's life, so he blames the president and the police for not doing enough to investigate. So these are some internal problems, and as it's common in smaller countries that very easily the political leadership, especially the opposition, begins to blame the large neighbor for all their ills. So in the case of Maldives also, Yameen and his party have been indulging in this kind of muckraking against India. It hasn't gelled. because the help that India gave has been in all sides. The Maldivian former foreign minister became the president of the General Assembly, UN General Assembly last year. And India went all out to support his candidature, and we were fully behind his tenure as the president of the General Assembly. He came to India. So there has been this kind of a coordination and dialogue between India and Maldives. As maritime security, the whole issue was there from the time, it's more than a decade old now. There has been this maritime security dialogue between India, Sri Lanka and Maldives, and began somewhere, in the beginning of the last decade. It has continued, it has built upon things. We have considered, travel between India and Maldives through ships also. There are flights, and so there is a sense of maritime commerce between the two countries, and to facilitate the maritime connectivity. And in that connectivity also, people-to-people movement are important. Being a neighbor, and Maldives is a country with more than 100 islands, spread over all the way up to almost like the equator. So in terms of Indian Ocean ambience and security, Maldives' location is geostrategically very important.
In fact, this Greater Malay Connectivity Project, which you spoke about, the 6.74 kilometer long bridge and causeway link between Malé and these three other cities, is also going to massively help boost the tourism quotient of that island nation. And on top of that, it will also serve to allow environmental checks and balances to be brought in, because the Maldives is is likely to be one of the worst hit countries in the world. In fact, I remember President Nasheed had held a cabinet meeting underwater to prove the point that the Maldives was sinking. So the point is, India and the Maldives also collaborate very closely on the issue of environmental security. Is that a correct assessment, Sheel?
Absolutely. That's very correct. We are supporting 45 projects in the country with a grant assistance of something like $16.88 million, $16.88 million, or something like 260 million Maldivian rupiahs. And of these 45, 17 have been completed and inaugurated. Projects cover diverse areas of socio-economic development, including tourism, sustainable development, education, fisheries, healthcare, local infrastructure, sports, and youth development. There is a cricket stadium being built. There is a project for that, and there is also project for building ports and the expansion of the airports, then reclamation and a cricket stadium. So these are the things which we are doing. Now, they have a very prominent green angle in all these projects, because sustainable development is the main thing. And this delegation which has come with which is going to come tomorrow with the president, includes the Minister of Economic Development, Fayyaz Ismail, the Ministers of National Planning and Infrastructure, Mohammad Aslam, Finance Minister, Ibrahim Amir, and the Transport Minister, Aisha Nahula. They are all part of the team. So it is going to be, as our Ministry of External Affairs stated, it will give an opportunity for the two leaders to review the progress made in this wide-ranging partnership and give a direction to the two sides that will lend further momentum to this strong partnership that we have built. Now, it is very well said, because the whole purpose is to move forward in areas which have a direct impact on the welfare and well-being of the people, and the friendship is rooted in a people-to-people relationship. India also provided budgetary support to Maldives and gave something like $250 million in financial assistance to Maldives in 2020 September.
In fact, this is one of those relationships that has really been working, has been one of the models of the good neighborhood first policy that the government of India has adopted. Thank you very much.